to politically important. It's practically, it is this idea that there is a symbiosis that goes on when we 1 + 1 + 1, when we collaborate together is not 3, it's something more. There's tremendous value added in your work, whatever it specifically is in that collaboration and partnership. Politically, or when you're lobbying, be it however it is, if it's legislative for a legislature, if it's on the regulatory side, presenting yourself as a partnership or a coalition or collaboration is critical for this reason. I see it all the time. I don't know about you, I've heard a little bit about some of what might go on or not in Tallahassee from some folks here. In Washington, which the children's groups nationally do not collaborate well together. They're getting better, but we're not. There's just too much scope typing and politics and funding, and competition. It's changing, it's getting better. What used to happen, and I saw this when I worked on Capitol Hill, Group X would come in, and they might be concerned about CCDBG, childcare. Say, this is our agenda, this is the most important thing you can do, this is why we need resources. Okay, thank you. They go in, they go out one door, in, another door comes, hey, we need more money for IDEA. Part C, we need more resources for, X, Y, Z. Thank you. Thank you. They go out the door. In comes another group. Okay. Now, if you're the elected official or their staffer, and I used to scratch my head, it's like, wow, all of these people purport to care about the same thing, kids and families, and yet they're all here with their own message, their own groups, presenting themselves as the most important thing. I mean, how do I choose? It's like choosing among your children, which is your favorite. What it does, and I've seen this in Washington, when a policymaker doesn't have a clear sense of what the priorities are from the children's community, then nothing is priority. It's easier for them to say, I'm not going to fund anything or keep everybody in the same place than it is to pick and choose. Now, of course, that's all easier said than done, when groups come together and you have to say, well, what are going to be our 3 top issues this year? Well, that's really hard. For voices, I'll tell you what they are this year, but I'm not saying you're going to have your own list. But I really would encourage you as partnerships in terms of how you come together and do this work, or even how you do individually, to think about how you represent the work and the messages of others, to really give some thought to this and how you're going to present it. Now, for voices this year, it's the Affordable Care Act, which is essentially defense of Medicaid and expansion of Medicaid in the states, and some other issues, big issues in healthcare, which are not finished. We've identified early learning is going to be a big issue in Washington. The president has an early learning initiative. It's real. We have another opportunity. We haven't had one this big since that debate in the 70s, which ultimately became something in the 80s called the Act for Better Childcare. We have another opportunity to go back and finish the job. And those are the top 2 issues for us as a national organization. And we have put is continuing a message of the importance of critical investments for kids in those decisions as one. But tell you, it's really hard. I would love for us to have a long, long list. There's critical issues in the immigration debate for kids. There's critical issues around gun safety for kids. But at some point, either as organizations or as collaborations, you have to do a little bit of picking and choosing, setting priorities. That doesn't mean the other things are not important. It just may mean that you have particular emphasis together in certain places at a certain time and less emphasis on other issues. Or you let your coalitions, your partnership, which tries to speak as one, to have a narrow list, and then each of you in your own individual work has your own list, and that's fine. It really is. Not suggesting in any way, shape, or form is like you not focus on the other issues. But there should be, as you think about collaborations and partnerships, really think about if there are ways for us to come together and to set some priorities and be able to talk about those in ways that make it clear to policymakers that there are some things that they can and should do in the time. Public education, which is critical too. Yes, there are the meetings in Tallahassee. There are the work we do in coalitions. All the work we do in that to do our other forms of advocacy needs to spill over into public education. You need to find ways to continue to educate the public about the important issues. And to the extent that you can activate them on the same issues, that's critical. And now it's a really hard nut. It usually involves, none of us, probably no one in this room has the kinds of resources to really do the kinds of public education campaigns that we would like to do. But you have tentacles through the people you work with that can reach out into other public, to other members of the public and touch them. You probably are talking to the media, or you should be, or writing stories about these issues. There are ways for you to keep the issues before the public, and that's really critical. Yes? Jacksonville Public Education. Great. Okay, preaching to the choir. Good. Yes?
So I just had a follow-up question to your point about the collaboration and the, so choosing, like, for example, your organization selected the Affordable Care Act, early learning initiatives as the primary focus. I was just curious in terms of, because some of the work that I'm involved in deals with the Children's Bureau, get funding, some of our partners get funding from the Children's Bureau, and my area, my organization is involved in trauma, addressing the history and issues of trauma with children, and how we can help to address that as a community. And I know that that's very big with Commissioner Samuels right now. There's a lot of Children's Bureau funding on trauma. SAMHSA, there's funding. How does the Children's Bureau or SAMHSA, how do they select? Why is trauma so big now? At least, it appears to be, and then there's going to be, 3 years from now, something else is going to be big. And so how does the federal government decide what the big children's issues are in any given time period?
No, it's